Little stupid pup, you think you're not everything. You are not like us. You are not like your father. You're not like me. You will never amount to anything. I am so disappointed in you. You should probably go back to school, get more education. It's not worth it. Your life is in shambles now. It's not worth it.
So obviously people probably have gone through that kind of stuff where people have told you like you're not worth it, those kind of things, mainly from family or people you've gone close to, you've become close with. Yeah, I'm not saying that, I don't know, it's weird, like my family used to, you can say, praise me, but I've always found it to be kind of weird, and I didn't think that it was genuine, because when it came time to, really trying to showcase like any sort of gifts, it felt, especially like when I came out, it was like almost like, this is the real you, but that cannot be the real you because we don't accept it. So it's kind of like two-sided. And that's where kind of triggered a lot of things where, you kind of project that onto other people. And I found that I did that not quite a lot, but yeah, there have been times where I've actually told people myself, like I projected onto others, and I used to work with this tutoring agency, and the fact that they didn't get my payment through my paycheck, I actually went extreme and I said, did you drop your brain somewhere? Like, are you that stupid? Literally, I was like, this is what I typed in the email, and apparently she was crying. So, yeah, not my proudest moments. And that's the thing, right? So, I think it's one of those things that you have to be humiliated in order to be humble sometimes. And I never really took that or anything, but just like, oh, everybody's against me, victimization. And I feel like when it comes to hubris, or rather Hybris, the asteroid here, that's what, wherever it is in your chart, mine is conjunct my sun. Didn't realize this until a few days ago. Actually, was it last week? And it was like, oh, that explains a lot. So what I discovered that hubris, or hybris, whatever it is, is excessive pride, mainly excessive pride. Narcissism is part of that as well. Those kind of strong emotional things that are just like, I'm me and fuck you all kind of attitude. It's a superiority complex. In my case, though, it's both superiority and inferiority complex. There was a scene from Buffy. There was this, she was getting psychoanalyzed by this psych major guy, but he became a vampire later. And they were talking instead of fighting. So it was like weird. But he was saying that Buffy had an inferiority complex about her superiority complex, which kind of like struck me. I was like, oh, that sounds a little familiar. So yeah, and to the point where it gets kind of violent, when it comes, hubris is more than just pride. It's literally like it goes to the point where it can humiliate others and actually hurt them emotionally, mentally, yes, spiritually, and also psychologically and physically as well. It can get to that point. So something we have to really consider and be conscious of, at least for me, it can be to the point where it's like it just becomes this anger, just like seething sort of anger. It's like kind of like you want to have wrath over those who you think are lesser than you, who don't get what you get, because it stems out of, resentment. I have Hybris in Libra, so it's a lot of, it's not fair. It's like, why do I have to do this? So it's a shadow thing, right? Because I never accepted that I had to do these things on my own. I never accepted that I had to gain knowledge in this way. Mine's Hybris is in the 4th house, so it's a lot of his concern with home stuff, life, and not feeling like nurtured and protected and not having my basics. So I kind of expected that of them, of my family, and that's the Libra thing, right? You kind of just be passive and just be reactive rather than proactive. And at the same time, there's the 4th house thing, which is Cancer. So there's a whole another layer of expectation that I should be. That not only should my relationships be like coming out from others first, and not taking initiative for it, and at the same time, expecting others to nurture me. So there's both that Libra Cancer mix, plus the fact that anything placement in my chart is in Libra is affected by both. Personally, for me, I like Aries there because it makes sense for me. It's like that aggressiveness that's through Aries. And it's like I take initiative where it doesn't make sense. It's opposition, but I've had to because it's an opposition. I have the midheaven in 25 degrees, so naturally it's going to be opposite my sun, and opposite, of course, Imam Kweli. It's always like that. That means it's also opposite Hybris as well. So, but I've had to come to terms with the world and what they think of me, and and not really come to terms with it. It's like an ongoing process. It's a lifelong process of like what the fuck do people want? That's that kind of thing. That's the pride coming in, right? And I can sense it right away, and it can be quite dangerous because it's like, if when we have unconscious behaviors, it projects onto the world, projects onto other people, and therefore people just end up distancing themselves from you. Like for me personally, like people didn't understand it, but that used to come from, most of the time, still today, that came, not as much, but before, it used to come from a lot of not only resentment, but like more like people not understanding. So part of hubris is also victimization, right? It is a narcissistic, narcissism-related asteroid. So wherever you have hubris in your chart, careful, especially if it's in the personal planets. Absolutely. It's irrational, of course. It's out of character, aggressive, very stubborn, very like set in their views, overreaching, overreacting, very irrational. Inacceptance, I put it here, leading to insecurity, leading to inacceptance of responsibility, that we are connected. I'm going to put here, that's fine. Anyways, as we are connected to all. Sorry, that was what I wrote. And then I look into the mythology. There wasn't a lot on hubris like the goddess, but it's basically what they said here is transgression against the gods, and it was left unpunished. So basically punishment in this case is self-blame against self-victimization. Separation, right? It's the ego, right? Because especially when you grow up you remember Harry Potter, his cousin? It's kind of like that, where he was always given this, he was always given that, he was always given praise. So when he didn't get what he wanted, well, he wasn't really like that. I don't think he was that, but that's a kind of reflection that we see when we see others who are spoiled. We judge it right away, but we realize it's like later, or at least maybe hopefully we realize that later it's like, oh, that's an inacceptance of our own pride. And that's the thing about hubris. It also teaches us to be proud, but not prideful. And because I have Pluto in thank goodness I have Pluto in the sun there, because that means it literally will make me, Pluto was in ancient times was considered also, Pluto or Hades was considered the god of riches. And what this means personally for me is the riches of what that value means, of what something that gives you, especially if it's like conjunct to your sun. I found that I didn't really know how to use it much until, like, now I'm still learning how to use it, where it's like learning to be more sun-like, more childlike. And I also have child conjunct the sun here, and it's funny that way because it's like I've always just wanted to kind of connect in a very deep and emotional kind of very family bond. And Artemis is also part of that here. I have Artemis conjunct the sun, and therefore Hybris, and therefore Pluto. Artemis's number is 6 in numerology. Hybris's main number is 7. But it's funny because I discovered, based on the astronomical data here, that Hybris's other numbers are also 1, so naturally of the self, 3, which is like co-creation, creative, expression of yourself, but also connecting with others, and 2, of course, coexistence, right? But I also discovered 8, 11, and 33. Interesting. It's like, it's maturity. Hybris can teach us maturity because we get so caught up in ourselves. It's like, I'm so fucking important. Yeah, sure, maybe you get diagnosed with narcissism. Maybe you get the dark triad. Maybe you get all those things. But how does that help anyone? How does that help you as a whole? Because it's complete separation, right? It feels like one of those things. That's what Hybris is. It's probably a little stronger than Narcissus, like the Platinum, the asteroid, and also Lucifer. So, yeah, makes kind of sense. It says here the cerebellum. Where is a part of the cerebellum? I did some research on the medical astrology. Well, yeah, the medical astrology of it, but cerebellum is the whole thing, really. Oh, it's back here. So it's that instant gratification thing. Okay, that makes it's a part of the reptilian brain right here. Okay, that makes sense. So anything tied to that. It's also tied to what I discovered as the heart is probably part of it, because if it's heavy and you're full of pride and you're happy, it kind of hits the heart. But at the same time, if it's about being prideful, you're prideful, then it brings the heart down. It's a very heavy feeling. I also discovered that it's a self-related processing of the medial prefrontal cortex. So somewhere up here. So let's take a look. Where is that here? Yeah, okay. Right here. Smack right here. So short-term memory, of course, area, but it's more like further up here. It's actually like somewhere, like a little spot, not this whole there, sorry, just this little spot right here. And apparently, so that can tie in with Aries, specifically, or Mars, why we get headaches when we have strong Aries placements. So anyways, that makes sense. When we're when we're pushing things that is not natural. And it ties in with what I discovered about Hybris as well. So Hybris is, on the mundane level, wanton behavior, I would say emotional, verbal, and physical abuse. So either in a home or in groups. Megalomania is probably part of this one. Or megalomaniacal personality, playing God. Projects undertaken beyond capability, ability, and skill. over-rewarding or under-rewarding, unappreciated, right? Overpraised or unrecognized or unappreciated achievements, excessive or overinflated prestige and affluence. I also included here Winkler's, I don't know who he was, Winkler's from 1970 something, I forgot, 80. Intellectual celebrity syndrome, where it's like, you're just very, very like haughty and kind of like that whole like, I'm better than you because I know more than you. Stardom could be related to this as well. Stolen awards, meaning someone takes credit for you doing something. That could be it, because it's kind of, it leads to like the whole like, oh, I'm better than you. So it's like that whole thing. It's related to award, the rewarding system, or the rewarding aspect of being human. It also includes corruption within prize-giving events. So like, yeah, pride in anything. So it could be cultural, academic, social, athletic, medical, scientific, service-related, professional, or business-related. That hurts, actually, harms, and even injures others, which includes fraudulence and or corruption. Climbing the ladder, right? So that's kind of ladder, whatever the ladder may be. Dog eat dog. I think I'm going to relate the dark triad to this one, which is the dark triad, you know, the sociopathy, psychopathy, Machiavellianism, antisocial behavior, possibly NPD or narcissistic something disorder, internet trolling. Okay, that's probably part of that. Violent delinquency, cybercrime, potentially, yeah. Political correct authoritarianism. I saw that and it was like, oh, that's interesting. Anti-immigrant prejudice, social dominance orientation, extreme political views, aggression, racism, and bullying. Entitlement, so it could be sexual entitlement, gender entitlement, cultural entitlement, social entitlement, generational entitlement. Those are at least a few things that came up that are examples in reality. So I'm going to not include the vocational stuff, which is like, it could be anything. Usually with psychology, any sort of mentorship, sort of teaching sort of position where you can help others, especially if you have narcissistic tendencies. Yeah. So there's a bunch of other stuff here that I usually try to sort of include, but it's not part of it. But I saw that it has a lot to do with humility, right? So crystals that work with this are anything indigo, purple, violet. Flowers are similar. White is also a good color. So any of those colors, and also crystals that work with that. So indigo, sodalite, iolite, covalite, dolomite, kunzite. Any of the flowers include lily of the valley, white begonia, lavender, violet, white rose, sunflower, lotus. Lotus is a good one because it's about humility. Absolutely. I believe in that. Baby's breath, snowdrop, morning glory. As for food here, I didn't really come up with anything, but anything that promotes, because I read up on this and I saw that there's something about, there's a connection between instant gratifications, that includes food we eat that are very like, oh, I just want to satisfy. It's kind of like being spoiled. And what happens is you spoil your body. Like, so you spoil it rotten, literally to the point where it starts to rot. So in other words, it's unhealthy, and it ties into obesity. So anything that promotes weight loss, or rather lighter foods, if it comes to food, okay, promoting healthy weight, that is. Low sugar, low fat, any of those things. You've seen it and you've heard it before. So you listen to your body, whatever works with you. At least for me, that's part of why I'm realizing that it's good that I had to become at least the most, I would say, almost vegan. I'm kind of like, to be honest, I have this one lip balm that I'm still using, and that's just my personal choice, that it is beeswax. I'm not going to claim anything. That's why I try not to do anything. But, it's just, there has to be a balance, really. And it's funny because like one of the numbers of Hybris is balance, which is, I believe 33 is part of that as well. Learning to balance. And that you don't have to be prideful. You can be proud of your achievements, and that's it. Maybe people see it, maybe people don't. That's not the point. So at least for me, that's what I recognized in myself, having this, not displacement, but really, because I've hurt people before, at least emotionally and verbally, and I never really worked on it until a few years ago, where I really, I'm still working on it, because a few weeks, last week, I was complaining. I allowed myself to do this. I gave in. I told my dad, I said, I don't get these people. Why they don't know how to, what is it? I was complaining about the whole this cell phone that I use, this phone. That, it's like, it should be, what is it? What did I say? I don't understand why we need these passwords. This is insecurity, the sort of need for security, insecurity this, security that. And whether their intention is to make money or to really protect people, I was complaining and I was just out of it, and I just yelling and really angry to the point where it's just this is ridiculous, humanity. So I really pointed the fingers towards humanity itself. I said, fucking humanity doesn't know how to don't know how to be natural. So there you go. So there's the hubris, and the hubris thing where it's just I'm better than you because I'm more natural. I'm better than you because I'm more spiritual. So there's a whole messy thing, right? So things to watch out for. One thing that I like though, because I do have child as the asteroid. I want to do more research on it, but I don't have anything on it. But it's the innocence, and I'm glad that it's there, and I'm glad that Pluto is I see Pluto there, because I'm always being taught to humble myself. Whether that's loss of anything, lost relationships, security, money as well, that's a big one. And that's the thing. So hopefully you have Pluto there somewhere close to Hybris for you guys, because at the very least it's not about the astrology, right? It's about finding the truth within and really processing everything, learning from your shadow, and going through the emotions. And yeah, I'm not crying or anything. But if yeah, anyways, I didn't get to do any tarot today. I'm not doing it right now because I just wanted to share this placement of Hybris. So wherever Hybris is in your charts, I hope that gives you some opportunity to work through, partially at least, any narcissistic tendencies, that instead of pointing fingers, that we learn to look inwards first and see, okay, what gifts can I find in this one? Anyways, that's all for today. Put a smile on your face, because I really like doing that. I think that helps a lot. Smile even when it hurts, right? See you guys later.